Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to work on two elms. These were seedlings that were planted, and I know this may sound weird, in October of 2 years ago. This variety is called a Drake elm. It's a Chinese elm, but it's a very, very popular landscape tree around here. Not many people actually use it for bonsai though, and I don't know why, because I think they make nice bonsai. As they get older, you don't see it on these, but the bark begins to exfoliate, it kind of becomes multicolored, and they're a very nice small elm. And I got these seed from my cross the street neighbor. You know, typically when you go collect seed from somebody, you ask them if you can do it, and they look at you like, what? Anyway, these guys were cut back, allowed to regrow, and then cut back again and allowed to regrow. And the first, I'm confused where the first cutback was, but the second cutback is pretty obvious. It was right there. And so imagine this tree being 2 feet, 2.5 feet easily. And this tree, elms have a lot of apical dominance, and you'll see on the second one that I'm going to work on what I'm talking about. But this tree seemed to be more of a bush. But now I'm taking everything off except for the leader and possibly what's going to be the first main branch. And I'm going to choose this one as the leader and this one as the first main branch. So working from the bottom, I've got my concave cutters, and I want to make sure I make a nice concave cut so it doesn't form a knob when it heals. I'm going to cut off some of these little guys so I can get to where I want to be. And elms also need to be root pruned, because I'm going to root prune these guys too when they're dormant. And they're just about ready to push. You can sort of even just feel it in the air. Going to have this as the leader, and this is the first main branch. You see there's a little tiny bit of growth right there that looks like they're pushing out of dormancy. So I just haven't been able to get to them. And I don't think it's going to be that traumatic for the trees. And I've got this guy right here. And this guy right here. And I'm just assuming that it has decent nabari. I don't really know. And then the next major chop is the apex itself to there. Let's clean that up a little bit. And then, oh, and I'm also going to plant it more like that. And then I'm going to try to find a bud. If we do the rule of thirds, we normally want this one to be just a little bit smaller than this one. So if we measure with our cutters, it's right to the handle. So then when I come up here, I want it to be a little bit shorter than that. So somewhere in here. But I also want to cut to a bud that's going to grow up. So see if you can see this little bud right here. If I cut to there, it's going to grow out at us. So I really want a bud that's going to go up. And I think there's one right there. So I'm going to cut to that. And then I'm going to cut my first main branch. And it's going to be like this. I think I may just cut it right to there. And leave this little critter to be. And then there's another bud right here that's going out this way. So if I cut to there, then my first main branch will have kind of a little crook to it, here to here, and then that little bud will come out like that. And that's pretty drastic, I know, but that's what they looked like last year. I didn't make any videos, but this is exactly what they looked like last year. Just sticks. And when we do the second one, you'll see just how much they can grow. Like I said, this one was more of a bush, but they grow with a tremendous amount of apical dominance when they're young. So now, the root pruning process is going to go back in the same pot. And this is actually a plastic pot, but it's molded as a bonsai pot. And I like these. They're really good training pots. They have great drainage, and the drainage holes are such that you don't really need to even cover them with any kind of mesh. And they're just great little pots. Very UV tolerant. And of course, when you're ready to take the tree to a real bonsai pot, your roots are already pretty much in that configuration. Just going to take with my hands. And elms tend to have very nice little trunks if you dig down in there. So we're going to cut that root off. So once again, I'm going to plant it more like that. No, wrong. I'm going to plant it more like that. That's going to be the apex. I was going like that. Okay, then we have a couple of surface roots here, especially when I angle it, that don't need to be there. Take off this guy. Maybe I should have it in the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I should probably just go like this. Okay, we've got some nice roots. Okay, take some off the bottom here. That was a pretty heavy duty root right there. And we're going to go like that, so I want to get some of these roots that are on the surface, because once we angle it, there'll even be more on the surface, and I really don't want that. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's about all I'm willing to do. And as you can see, these are in a landscape mix. I'm going to try to take that root. See this root sticking up? When I pot it, I'm going to try to get it like that. Then we have a little aerial root almost that I'm going to try to promote too. So there we go. Okay, so then the next stage is, oops, I forgot my scoop. Set up the pot. Put the tree in the pot. And you know, I want to go a little deeper over here, because I want the tree more like that. Oh yeah, that looks so much nicer. Get this guy that's poking up to go down, and it will. Come on. And I don't have my chopstick either, so my fingers will have to suffice. And since the root ball was still pretty solid, there's not a tremendous amount of airspace that I really even need to worry about. I know sometimes I seem like I'm very sandlot. I don't do things the traditional way, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. So there we go. First one done. Now these scars here, I may start getting some buds. I may get buds out here. Got to pull all that off. This is now the stage where all I really want is growth to come out of the first main branch and growth to come out here. And the growth that comes from the apex, once again, this year I'm just going to let it go crazy. Get some thicker trunks. These are 2-year-old seedlings and they're still quite small. I have some in the ground that are about twice as thick. So that's number one. Pretty much just a stick. Charlie Brown would be proud of me. Number two is like, boop, I think it's ready to be potted. Number two is a perfect example of the apical dominance. You can see the cut right here. And then it goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And finally we get to the top. So that's apical dominance. One leader that just takes off, and at the expense of all the other ones. Now it still has some branching, there's no doubt about that. And this is another example of, is this the front of the tree, or is this the front of the tree, or are we going to go more like that? Because then we have the movement that I like. So I think that's what we're going to do. There's a little bit of scar here and a little bit of rot. And if we go this way, when I'm looking, well, one thing I know for sure, we're not going to keep any of this small stuff down here. Now we could, in theory, if we find the front, keep a tree in the back as a sacrifice branch to thicken the trunk. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that. So we have here, and then this is a little bit longer, but I'm really thinking of taking it to there. And I'm doing it. So there goes the entire apex. The whole apex is gone. Then I'm not so sure I want this tree this small, like this being the first main branch. I may just take that off, and this will just be a part of the trunk, and it can still be a... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that off and leave this tiny little one. That will help heal the scar. The scar has healed beautifully. And part of the reason is that the top grew so vigorously. And then, once again, it's just a matter of basically taking everything else off, turning it into a stick, knowing that elms recover from this kind of work. And then where are we going to go with this guy? I think I'm going to take these guys off too. Because, you know, these guys are going too horizontal. And then I'm going to choose a bud. You know, in a perfect world, this would be shorter than this, but it isn't. But I'm still going to choose a bud up here. I think there's one right there. So I'm going to cut to that. And there we go. We have another stick. But this is the process I use on elms. And then regrow, and then cut back, and regrow, and cut back. Now, if you saw last year, the stick was just really a stick. It was just... And so every time you do this every year, you leave a little more, and a little more, and a little more. But we're still talking 2, 3, 4, 5 years before this is a finished tree. And now the root pruning process is going to be different on this guy because we're changing the front entirely. And it looks as though I don't have enough soil. So I'm going to pause and go get more soil because I don't want to be in the middle of the process of adding soil to the pot and run out. So now I need to change the front of this guy completely. So get the pot out of the way, start the root pruning process. Feels like there's some pretty heavy duty roots in there. And I'm probably looking at this as the front. So all these front roots need to go if it's going to go in the pot. No, we've got a very nasty little root right there that has kind of circled around too, so we're going to take it off even though it's pretty major. Pretty major, but in a horrible place. There's another nasty root in the bottom. That's also quite major. Yeah, look at it. Take it back even more. Well, this thing is all just nasty roots. Is it going to have anything left? Possibly not. Well, that procedure was a little more drastic than the last one. Where's our front? And we may as well take that off because it's just going to be poking us in the front. Alright, so now the question is, will this puppy even survive? I believe it will. It's the perfect time of year. They're just coming out of dormancy. As long as I keep them moist. Definitely took a hit. I'm going to cut this with my concave cutter so it's not as flat. So when that heals, it still won't be a nasty scar. So now, add some soil. Place the tree. I'm looking at what roots are left and see if we can feather them out. Okay, I do like the movement of the tree, and I'm pretty confident that even with the small amount of roots left, because we basically, there's this one little tiny piece of green here which we can actually, not anymore. And there we go. It'll need pretty good aftercare. But I'm out in my garden every single day, so I will know I need to water these newly root pruned elms. Make sure they get off to a good start. So I said I was going to do 2, and I am. I'm going to end this video by just doing these 2. But I actually have about 20. And I'm not going to do all 20 on screen, but I just wanted to show you 2 more. And they are basically the same thing. So this one here, we look, it's going up, up, up. It's not as anywhere near as tall as the other one, but it's going to be the same kind of thing. We're going to look now. I have a lot of damage here, a very nasty scar. So I'll probably take that off, and I guess I can do that right now. I said I wasn't going to work on them, but okay. Then we have our leader, cut off almost everything else, maybe a first main branch, and boom, 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 boom. So it's pretty much the same process. And I will do all of those off camera. I don't think doing everything on camera is, once you see the basic process, it's the same basic process for all of them. Here's another one that has some major growth, and that's all 1 year from this cutback right here. This all 1 year. So now this guy's got some reverse taper, so we need to deal with that. But that's the procedure on just about all of them. Take them from this crazy growth down to just the skeleton of what I want for the tree in the future, then regrow, cut that back, regrow, cut that back, and in 3, 4, 5 years, you're cutting less massive growth off and you're doing more refinement until you have a finished tree. For me, there is no shortcut for that. There just isn't. I suppose I could take wire and wire everything down, but that's just not who I am. That's not how I do it. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Let me put the 2 that I did work on side by side to finish the video out. So there you go. And the best way to figure out, are these things even going to live? What are they going to look like? Is to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you can watch them. And believe me, even the one with the massive root pruning, they will sprout out, and if I leave them for a whole year, they'll just be basically the same way they were when we started. I may now actually begin to, once we get some good growth, begin to start to create some more structure to the tree. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up if you like just how drastic they are. And, subscribe and hit the notification bell. You can see just how they develop. And I'm going to do all the rest of them off camera because it's just the same. It's kind of a certain amount of redundancy to do it all, to do them all on camera. It's the same process. They will all look a little different. They will all have, some will have more motion, some will have, this one's a little bit taller, etc., etc. But the process is basically the same. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.